Imagine a world where the iPhone doesn't exist, a world where status isn't determined by how many cameras are on the back of your device, but by the satisfying click, click, click of a physical keyboard. In 2008, one device ruled the planet. It was in the pocket of the President of the United States. Right? It was the lifeline of every CEO on Wall Street. Like, it was so addictive, we didn't call it a phone. Now, we called it the BlackBerry. And at its peak, BlackBerry owned 50% of the US smartphone market. They were the king, they were untouchable, and then they vanished. In the blink of an eye, a company worth $80 billion crumbled into irrelevance. How does a tech giant that defined a generation lose everything? How did the king die? To understand the fall, we have to respect the climb. It started in Waterloo, Ontario, with a company called Research in Motion, or RIM. Two men, Mike Lazaridis, the engineering genius, and Jim Balsillie, the aggressive businessman, built something the world had never seen. Before BlackBerry, email was something you did at a desk. You were tethered to a wall. BlackBerry cut the cord. The secret sauce was the hardware. The keyboard was a masterpiece. It allowed you to type without looking. You could bang out a 1,000-word merger agreement from the back of a taxi. It was precise. It was tactile. It meant business. And then there was the moat. BBM, BlackBerry Messenger. If you didn't have a BlackBerry pin, you were socially invisible. You were outside the club. San Francisco. Macworld 2007. A man in a black turtleneck walks onto a stage and changes the world forever. But at that moment, the executives at BlackBerry weren't scared. They were amused. When Steve Jobs unveiled the iPhone, he didn't just introduce a new product. He declared war on the very philosophy of the BlackBerry. Jobs looked at the industry standard, the physical keyboard, and called it garbage. He said, "Let's get rid of all these buttons and just make a giant screen." To the general public, it looked like magic. Pinch to zoom, full web browsing. But inside BlackBerry, they didn't see a threat. They saw a toy. Who wants to type on glass? They laughed. That laughter was the sound of their own funeral march. But the laughter didn't last. Panic set in. In a desperate attempt to answer the iPhone, they rushed out the BlackBerry storm. It was a catastrophe. The screen was a mechanical nightmare that you had to physically press down. It was slow, it was buggy, and it failed. Verizon returned nearly 1 million units. It was the moment the world realized the king has no clothes. The end didn't happen overnight. It was a slow, painful bleed. While the world moved to apps, Instagram, and touchscreens, BlackBerry clung to its keyboard. They clung to BBM. By the time they realized the war was lost, it was too late. From controlling 50% of the smartphone market to 0%. The king didn't just die, he was forgotten. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Phosphor Fade for more.